On February 12, 2014, a massive sinkhole opened up beneath the National Corvette Museum in Bowling Green, Kentucky, swallowing 8 show-quality Corvettes. Perhaps luckily for the museum and its patrons, the sinkhole opened at 5:44 a.m. on a Wednesday morning before the museum had opened, and no people were present or in danger. The only damage that occurred was structural damage and damage to the cars. Sinkholes and mass movements are a very common problem throughout Kentucky because of the amount of karst areas. Karst is defined as a landscape that features sinkholes, caverns, and underground water drainage systems typically formed by the dissolution of soluble bedrock such as limestone. 55% of the state of Kentucky features bedrock that could form a karst landscape, and 25% has documented karst features. Kentucky is ranked 7th in the nation in sinkholes, in part because of a large amount of land that has karst features. Sinkholes and karst landscapes are typically formed in one of two ways. The first most commonly occurs when the bedrock slowly erodes and is carried away underground by streams. This causes a slow, gradual depression to form on the surface, and is the most common form of mass movement in a karst landscape. However, in the case of the National Corvette Museum, the sinkhole developed and opened in a much more dramatic but less common way. As seen in the security footage from inside the museum, the floor opens up abruptly rather than slowly depressing. This occurred because as an underground stream eroded the bedrock beneath the museum and carried away sediment, it created a cave, but left a thin layer of bedrock on top, forming a roof to the cave. Over time, more and more bedrock was removed from this ceiling until a sizable cave was left underneath a thin roof. Ultimately, a combination of weight upon this thin roof and slow erosion of the roof caused this roof to collapse, opening up the large cave that was underneath. Multiple display cars fell into this 60-foot long, 40-foot wide, and 30-foot deep hole, but luckily there were no people present or in danger at the time of the collapse. While this sinkhole was very damaging, the museum did have insurance, and General Motors, the company that owns Chevrolet and who makes Corvettes, offered to oversee the restoration of the cars. The event also generated a large amount of news and press, leading to a 59% increase in the attendance at the museum after the collapse. Today, 3 cars have been restored, while the remaining 5 were damaged beyond repair, but are left in the museum as a reminder of the event. The sinkhole was recently filled with rock, steel beams, and concrete pillars to provide additional support beneath the floor, and the Sky Dome showroom where the collapse occurred is expected to open back up July 2015.